My beloved child, do you know that the most frightening thing in the walk of faith is not that I am silent, nor that I have forgotten you, but that you yourself, the one who once cried, knelt, and called out to me in the night, begin to let go, allowing your heart to turn cold just as the spiritual clock is about to strike, when I say, but the one who endures to the end will be saved. Matthew 24:13. That is not only a promise, but also a warning bell I sound for those who are becoming weary at the very edge of glory. Have you ever understood that many have traveled a long road of faith, only to let the blessing fall right at the final door? It is not because they had no faith, but because they became too tired to believe one more time. They think I have forgotten, when in truth, I am simply completing what I began. People easily lose heart when silence continues, when promises have not yet become visible, when prayers have not yet been answered. But my child, the faith is not measured by how far you have walked, but by how faithfully you continue holding on until the final moment. Many souls have stopped too soon simply because they forgot that my clock is never late. It only moves according to a rhythm different from yours. Can you hear it? The spiritual clock is counting the very breaths of time, and every second is whispering, the hour is near. Yet the world remains noisy. People remain absorbed, living as though they had endless tomorrows. They delay. They wait for another day to believe, not realizing that every hesitation shortens an opportunity. The time I have appointed is not an unclear metaphor. It is a sacred appointment I wrote before you were born. The dreams you carry, the vague stirrings within your heart, the tears that fall without an obvious reason, these are not coincidences, but reminders from me that little time remains. Yet sadly, many dismiss them as passing emotions, only to discover one day that they have walked beyond a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that will never come again. My child, what grieves me most is not seeing you weak, but seeing you grow cold when I am close to completing a miracle for you. On the journey of faith, almost no one gives up at the beginning, but many fall near the end, where the light has already started to shine on the horizon. The enemy knows it cannot stop my hand, so it tries to draw you away from the place of waiting. It makes you weary, distracted, and doubtful, filling your heart with noise until you no longer have enough stillness to hear my voice. And when you sink into that weariness, you loosen your grip on what I am about to give you. You think you are only resting, but in truth, you are stepping away from the company of those who will witness the miracle. Many live as though tomorrow will always be waiting for them. Yet in heaven, the hands of my clock have already begun to move. While they still believe they have endless chances, they run after work, plans, and dreams, yet few stop to ask, where am I in God's plan? I have knocked on the door of their hearts many times through circumstances, through warnings, through dreams that appear meaningless, but they continue to say, it is not time yet. My time is not a figure of speech, but a real appointment established before you ever entered the world. And when the call is released, if you do not answer in time, you may find yourself lost within the very life I once designed for you. Every invitation from me is not a passing offer. It is a door that opens only once. To miss today is to turn away from an entire season of blessing prepared for you long ago. Remember this: I am never rushed, but I am never late. When my appointed time arrives, I desire to find you ready, not trapped and distracted by the world. Do not wait until tomorrow to believe, because tomorrow may never come. My beloved child, have you ever become still enough to listen to your own breathing? That rhythm is counting the very seconds I have entrusted to you. I see you busy and hurried, chasing what you believe matters, unaware that behind all those things, my time is quietly passing by. You are absorbed in building your life and managing every small detail, yet you forget there is something greater than all of these, and that is your life in me. When I declare, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion. Hebrews 3:15. It is my reminder that not tomorrow, but today, is the time for obedience. Yet many continue to delay, allowing the noise of daily life to silence my gentle call until they finally realize that tomorrow no longer belongs to them. My child, I understand your heart, always wanting to rest a little longer, postpone a little more, and wait for a more convenient time before giving me your whole heart. But you do not realize that every "I'll do it tomorrow" becomes one more step away from me. The devil does not need to push you into great sins. It only needs to whisper, "There is still time." It does not have to steal your faith. It only has to delay that faith until the door has closed. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. John 10:10. And sometimes it needs no force at all, only distraction, and you will lose by yourself the very opportunities that were intended for you. My child, I do not rebuke you for being weak. I only fear that you will become so used to your weakness that you no longer desire to rise. I have given you many awakenings, those sleepless nights, those moments that shake your heart, those dreams that appear to have no meaning. All of them are my gentle touch upon your soul, reminding you that I am still waiting. But you dismiss them as coincidences and comfort yourself with the excuse, "It is probably not the time yet." You do not realize that the time is exactly today, for my timing is not counted by earthly clocks, but by the rhythm of heavenly purpose, for I know the plans I have for you, plans for peace and not for harm, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. I have never stopped preparing good things for you, but I need you to arrive at the hour I have appointed. Every time you delay, you are the one arriving late to what I have already prepared. My child, I know there are moments when your heart grows tired because the road feels too long and your prayers seem unanswered. But trust me, you have never been forgotten. I am teaching you to walk by faith, not by feelings. Feelings may shift, but faith is what keeps you standing when everything appears to fall apart. Can you see that across the years, it was exactly in the moments that felt like my silence that I was rearranging your life? If I allow your spiritual clock to move more slowly than others, it is because I am teaching you the value of waiting with the Lord. With the Lord, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. 2 Peter 3:8. My time is not late, only different, and that difference exists, so you may learn to believe even when you cannot yet see. My beloved, the world always makes you think you have endless chances, that this failure can still be repaired, that mistake can still be undone. But some opportunities arrive only once in a lifetime, and when I knock, I desire for you to open immediately, not say, "Let me prepare a little more." Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him. Revelation 3:20. I do not knock forever because I honor your will, and if you keep staring at what you are losing, you will miss what is coming. My child, I do not need you to be perfect. I only need you to be willing. When you are willing, I will take care of the rest. There are those to whom I once entrusted a calling, whose hearts once burned for me, but whose fire slowly faded because they thought, "I will live for him again when the time is right." Yet the fire of the Holy Spirit does not wait for some later time. When I breathe life into your soul, I desire for you to keep that flame alive, even if it is only a tiny flicker in the darkness. Do not compare yourself with anyone else, because my timing for every person is different. I only ask that you do not allow the fire to die because of complacency. Do not quench the Spirit. 1 Thessalonians 5:19. When you protect that small flame, you will see me turn it into a torch that illuminates an entire harvest. My child, some people believe they are truly living, when in reality they are asleep within the busyness of life. They are not committing obvious sins, but they no longer hunger for me. They attend church, yet their souls have been far from me for a long time. I look at them, and my heart is grieved, because the light within them is fading like a lamp running out of oil. Remember my words, therefore keep watch, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. Matthew 24:42. Watchfulness is not fear. It is keeping your spirit awake so that whenever I come, you will not feel ashamed or afraid, but will smile. knowing you are ready. My beloved child, do not allow busyness to destroy intimacy with me. I do not rebuke you for having concerns, because I know you live in the middle of this world. But I am saddened when you give your time to everything and everyone except me. When I awaken you with an unnamed emptiness, that is my invitation for you to return. Do not try to fill it with work or relationships, because only I can fill that void. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Matthew 6:33. If you place me where I truly belong, you will see everything else move into its proper place. My child, look back over your life. How many times have you promised that you would change, that you would return, and then forgotten? I do not remind you in order to condemn you, but to show you that I am still waiting. It is never too late to come back. But do not wait until your heart has become completely cold before you seek me. I do not need great promises. I only desire that first step you dare to take toward me. Like the father waiting for his prodigal son, I am also standing at the beginning of the road, my arms still open wide. You only need to turn around. I will do the rest. And when you do return, you will realize that all the clocks I placed in your life, the cries, the delays, and the wounds, have all been my ways of teaching you to value the time of life. Every second I give is an opportunity to love, to forgive, and to live fully in my will. Do not waste it in procrastination or indifference, for one day that clock will stop, and what will remain is only the love you have given me. Therefore, my child, wake up. Do not wait for a clearer sign. Every sign you need has already been given in your heart, in your circumstances, and in my word. Take a step, even a small one, for every step you take toward me is a step farther away from the darkness. Like the sower who knows the harvest is drawing near, rise up, for your season is also coming close. And as you begin to walk, you will understand that the spiritual journey is not only about how far you go, but about keeping your heart awake amid the storm of distraction. For sometimes the true danger is not that you have not started yet. It is that you are moving in the right direction while allowing your heart to fall out of rhythm. My child, there is something I want you to carve deeply into your heart. The most dangerous part of the spiritual journey is not when you are weak, but when you believe you are almost there, when you stand in the final stretch where just a little more perseverance would bring you into the promise. That is when the enemy releases its strongest attack. It does not come against you with obvious sin, but with tiredness, discouragement, comparison, and the noise of the world. I have seen so many souls stop right at the doorway of the miracle because they no longer had the strength to wait one more hour. But my child, those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Isaiah 40:31. I do not want you only to begin with fire, but to finish in light. I understand that you have endured many trials, and at times you feel that I take too long to answer. You pray, you believe, and then you wait. And the longer the waiting continues, the colder your heart seems to become. That is when you begin to look at others and ask, why does God answer them quickly but not me? In that moment, the seed of comparison is planted and slowly grows into bitterness. My child, faith is not a race to see who receives first, but a personal journey for every soul. I have a unique plan for each person, and no one is late who continues walking in my will. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season, we will reap if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. I want you to learn endurance, even when no one applauds you, because in that very hidden place, I am testing whether your love is truly sincere. When you feel exhausted, do not fight alone. Stop and sit at my feet. Let me pour fresh strength into you. Sometimes I do not want you to run quickly. I only want you to become still in my presence. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. The world teaches you to be strong and persistent, but I teach you that true strength comes from knowing how to be weak in me. You do not need to pretend that you are fine or hold back your tears, for I know everything, every sigh you release. I hear every trembling within you. I see it all. I am not distant from you in your weariness. I am right there, waiting for you to lift your head so I can help you rise again. But my child, understand this as well. Distraction does not always arrive through pain. Sometimes it comes through pleasant things, a compliment, an opportunity. Even a small success can pull you away from the place where I have positioned you. The enemy is subtle. It knows it cannot stop me from blessing you, so it only tries to draw you away from the place where blessings are being poured out. It makes you believe you must do a little more, that you must prove yourself in what I already affirmed long ago, and so you begin chasing what is good while forgetting what is right. No one can serve two masters. Matthew 6:24. You cannot pursue the applause of people and, at the same time, keep your heart pure before me. You must choose between quietness in my will and the noise of the world. I see you, my child. When your heart grows heavy in the middle of the road, there are days when you want to release your hold, not because you no longer believe, but because you have waited for so long. I understand, but I want you to know that every true miracle needs time to grow. Like a seed resting quietly in the soil, it must pass through darkness, moisture, and waiting before it breaks through into the light. If you give up halfway through the process, you will never see the golden harvest you once prayed for. Those who sow in tears shall reap in shouts of joy. Psalm 126:5. My child, your tears are not wasted. They are watering the harvest that is coming. I want you to understand that exhaustion does not mean you have failed. It only means you need me more deeply than ever. When your hands tremble, when your knees grow weak, kneel before me. For sometimes victory is not found in standing tall, but in knowing where to kneel. For when you are weak, then I make you strong. 2 Corinthians 12:9-10. Your strength does not come from your own willpower, but from your surrender to me. Surrender is not defeat. It is allowing me to win on your behalf. The storms you are facing now are not meant to destroy you, but to refine what is truly real within your heart. I allow you to pass through trials, not because I take pleasure in your pain, but because I want you to learn to love me, even when your hands hold nothing. When you remain faithful, even though you see no miracle, that is when you yourself are becoming the miracle. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. John 20:29. I have not forgotten even one of your prayers. I am only waiting for your heart to become wide enough to receive what I am about to give. My child, do not be afraid when you feel weary. Weariness is not as dangerous as letting that weariness destroy your faith. Rest in me. But do not walk away from me. There is a difference between resting and quitting. Resting restores strength. Quitting rejects the journey I have marked out for you. Learn from Jesus. Though exhausted on the cross, he still declared, "It is finished." John 19:30. Do you see, he did not finish because he was weak, but because he had completed everything. I also desire for you to finish in that way, not because you are worn down, but because you have faithfully walked to the end of the path I entrusted to you. My beloved child, when you keep your heart steadfast, I will add strength to you. Every step you take while exhausted is a step I am lifting by my grace. Let your eyes look up to me, not around you. When you look to me, you will see the storm begin to fade and your soul return to peace. You keep in perfect peace the one whose mind stays on you because he trusts in you. Isaiah 26:3. Do not forget, no bend in the road is meaningless. Every drop of sweat on the path of faith is counted by me and kept in my bottle. And then, when you have passed through that stretch of road filled with distractions, you will realize that what I wanted to train in you was not the strength to run, but the strength to stand. For after every gust of wind, what remains is not the one who ran fastest, but the one who still kept their heart. Let your heart become still in me, because ahead of you, you will need that very steadfastness to walk through deeper silences and greater trials. My child, do not be afraid when the light seems to grow dim, for only in the deepest night does my light shine most clearly. Keep walking, not because you still have strength, but because I am still walking with you. The place you think is the end is, in truth, the starting point of a new chapter in your journey of faith. There, I will teach you that true faith is not only measured by endurance, but also by the ability to remain peaceful in the middle of the storm. Do you know that sometimes what weighs down your soul is not the storm, but the silence? My silence can confuse you, like a child standing in the dark, unsure whether their father is still there. You have prayed, cried out, and waited, yet the answer has not come, and you assume I have turned my face away. You begin to doubt, have you forgotten me? But my child, I have never left. It is exactly in the long pauses that I am working more than ever. The God who watches over Israel never grows tired and never sleeps. Psalm 121:4. When I am silent, it does not mean I am absent. When you do not hear me, it does not mean I do not hear you. My silence is not indifference, but the season in which I am weaving wonders with threads you cannot yet see. I know that pain makes you feel as though I have abandoned you. When you cry and no one answers, when you are wronged and no one defends you, when you look around and see only the absurdity of life, you begin to close your heart. But my child, do not let pain make you bitter. Do not let your tears become salt that dries out your soul. Every tear you shed, I keep in my bottle. You have recorded my misery. Are not my tears kept in your bottle, and my sorrows written in your book? Psalm 56:8. Not one sigh of yours is meaningless. All of them are becoming seeds, and at my appointed time, those seeds will sprout into a harvest of blessing. You often think suffering is punishment, but in truth, it is the classroom of love. In your pain, I teach you what peace cannot teach. I teach you to discern what is temporary from what is eternal, to value the small things you once took for granted. You see, when you suffer, you begin to pray more sincerely, to forgive more easily, and to love more deeply. I do not create pain to torment you, but to refine you. Just as gold must pass through fire to shine, your soul must pass through trials to be purified. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces proven character, and character produces hope. Romans 5:3-4. So do not fear pain. Only fear a heart that grows hard within that pain. I know there are moments when you sigh and say, Lord, I cannot take it anymore. But my child, that is the very point where you are closest to the place in which I am about to work my greatest miracle. The enemy knows this well, so it keeps whispering in your ear. If God loves you, why does he let you hurt so much? It wants you to forget that true love is not the refusal of every wound, but the presence within every wound, transforming it into grace. As Joseph was sold as a slave, yet raised to be a ruler. As Job lost everything, yet received back double. So you will see that what I allow you to lose is never lost in vain. You do not understand now what I am doing, but later you will understand. John 13:7. Sometimes you want me to speak immediately, act immediately, and prove myself immediately. But if I answered you every time you wept, you would only know me as a giver of gifts, not as a father. I want you to learn to trust me, even when you hear nothing. For true faith is not born in miracles, but in silence, when you still stand firm, though you cannot see the way. That is when your faith shines brightest. It is I who go before you. I will be with you. I will not leave you or forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:8. I have promised, and my promise never fails. My beloved child, do not be afraid when the tears keep falling. They do not make you weaker. They soften your soul so that I can touch it. The world teaches you to be strong, but I teach you that the weakness that turns toward me is the truest strength. When you weep in my arms, I turn those tears into oil that anoints your soul. So when you rise, you are no longer the person you were. Tears are never useless. They either water life or drown the soul. I want you to choose the first. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Matthew 5:4. I see those times when you try to appear strong, forcing a smile while your heart is shattered. Do you think I do not know I know everything? and I have compassion on you. You do not have to hide your tears from me, for I do not despise your weakness. In that very weakness, I reveal my power. When you let go, I can finally take hold. When you stop straining, I can lift you up. I do not demand that you wear a forced smile in the middle of pain. I only desire that you keep holding my hand. Even if your hand is trembling, my child, stop seeing pain as a full stop and begin to see it as a comma in the story I am writing. When you believe that everything is over, I am opening a new chapter. Every season of pain carries a hidden seed, the seed of restoration, of blessing, and of faith renewed. One day, when you look back, you will smile and say, "So it was then that God was not silent at all. He was writing the deepest part of my story." And when you understand the true meaning of silence, you will no longer be afraid of it. You will begin to see pain as a companion and tears as seeds, for you know that each time you lose something, I am preparing a new fullness for you. The sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Romans 8:18. When you keep your heart tender, even while you weep, you are sowing for yourself a coming season of joy. Then you will understand silence is not me withdrawing, but me stepping back so that you may grow. Pain is not a sign of distance, but a torch lighting the way for your soul to know what is real and what is false. When you learn to see in this way, you will pass through days of testing more lightly, because you know that every time I am silent is exactly when I am drawing nearest. For my beloved child, the journey of faith does not end at mere endurance. It leads to the understanding that every wound hides a sacred purpose, and it is through those very cracks that my light enters. Guard your heart in peace, for beyond pain lies glory, and after silence will come my gentle voice, the sound that only souls who have once wept in my hands can truly hear. My child, I have seen every tear you shed when you were misunderstood, every choking sob when you were excluded, every time you kept silent beneath the contempt of others. I know that this pain runs deeper than words, for it touches the very value you believed was yours. You begin to ask, if God loves me, why does He allow me to be so despised? But my dear one, it is in the very place where you are rejected that I am laying the foundation for your vindication. Whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Luke 14:11. You are not brought low to be shamed, but so that I may lift you up in a way no one expects. Injustice is not the sign that I have withdrawn my hand, but the soil I plowed deeply to plant seeds of glory that only I can see. I know that when you are treated unfairly, your first instinct is to defend yourself, to prove that you are innocent. But my child, every time you insist on justifying yourself, you place yourself on the same level as those who hurt you. You lower your own voice to argue with the noise of this world. Do not repay evil with evil. Leave room for the wrath of God. Romans 12:17-19. I do not ask you to be silent because you are weak, but because I want the voice of your vindication to come from my mouth, not from your wounded heart. When you keep silence, I speak for you. When you stop reacting, I act, and my word of defense will always thunder louder than any accusation. My beloved, do not think that I do not see. Every time you are ignored despite having done your best, I am there. Whenever others mock, judge, or belittle your heart, I take note. I do not forget. I simply have not spoken yet. For if I vindicated you while you were still angry, you would use that victory to gloat, not to glorify me. But when you are quiet enough, when you can bear both silence and injustice while keeping your heart pure, that is when I can release justice to you by the hand of heaven. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Psalm 37:7. Your waiting is not in vain, for my justice is never late. It comes at the exact time appointed in the Spirit. Do you know those moments of humiliation, rejection, and being looked down upon by others are exactly where I am carving out your true image? You once believed your worth rested in the eyes of other people, but I allowed them to turn away so you would learn to see yourself in my light. When every door you are seeking has closed, I want you to understand that one door still remains open, the door of my heart. If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. You do not need the approval of the world. You only need me to know who you are when you stand in the place I have appointed for you. No accusation is powerful enough to pull you away from it. My child, do not allow your wounds to make you cold. Many people, after being hurt, build stone walls around their hearts and call that strength. But my child, those walls do not only keep people out, they also keep my light from entering. I want you gentle, not bitter. I want your heart to remain like good soil that, even when trampled, can still bring forth life. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Matthew 5:5. True strength is not found in hardness, but in the ability to continue loving even after pain. Let me heal you instead of tying yourself to hatred, for if you continue looking through the lens of bitterness, you will not be able to see the glory I am preparing. I do not allow anyone to hurt you, simply to test you. Every contempt you face carries a purpose. When you are pushed out, I am removing you from places that do not belong to you. When you are slandered, I am teaching you to stand firm without needing applause. When you are misunderstood, I am training you to understand others more deeply. Do not call this failure. It is training. For my child, those whom I intend to use for great things, I always lead through seasons of deep humility. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. John 12:24. You must die to the need for human recognition, so you may be born into the recognition of heaven. My dear one, I have seen you try to prove you are right, only to discover that the more you speak, the more misunderstood you become. You grow weary and want to give up. But I want you to know that your silence is not weakness. It is strength being reserved for the right time. Some things are meant to be proven only by fruit. As time passes, the very outcome of your life will become your vindication. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree and grow like a cedar of Lebanon. Psalm 92:12. Let me prove you through blessing, not through arguments. I do not want you to lock yourself inside the label of the wounded one. If you allow the past to define you, you will never see the future I am opening. Do not let the contempt in other people's eyes become the mirror of your life. You were not born to answer scorn, but to reflect my glory. When I look at you, I do not see someone pitiful. I see a warrior being forged in the fire. You are my treasured possession. I have chosen you, not because you are strong, but because I love you. Deuteronomy 7:6-8. And when the day of your vindication comes, you will understand why I asked you to remain silent. When you were brought low, I had already written the day when you would be lifted up. When you were rejected, I had already prepared a place where you would be honored. When others despised you, I was laying the foundation for a new position that only grace can open. And in that moment, you will no longer desire revenge or feel the need to prove yourself, because my peace within you will be so deep that no other word will be necessary. One day, you will realize that the very wounds that once made you ashamed are the places where my light shines through most powerfully. It is in humiliation that I teach you what true honor means. It is in rejection that you learn the meaning of being chosen. What I am doing now you do not understand, but afterward you will understand. John 13:7. And then you will no longer wish to hide your past, for you will see clearly that I have used every wound to shape a new person within you. My child, do not close your heart. Do not allow pain to define you. Let me use that very pain as the launching place that leads you into a season of vindication. For what you call humiliation today is the red carpet I am spreading for the day when I will honor you. Just as Joseph was once thrown into a pit, yet that very pit led him toward the palace. When you understand this, you will no longer fear contempt, for you will know that every scornful word only strengthens the foundation for the throne of honor I am preparing for you. And when you have risen from every injustice, you will walk more lightly, with a wider heart and clearer eyes. For you will know that true vindication does not come from others changing their minds, but from your own heart being changed. When you see everything through my eyes, nothing will wound you as it once did. In that moment, you will have entered another season, a place where pain is no longer a burden but a mark of grace, where you understand that being despised for my name is not a loss but a deep honor. And then, out of that deep gratitude, you will move forward gently because you know the journey does not end with vindication, but continues further to the place where you learn the most important lesson, not to fear people's contempt, but to fear missing the moment when I open the door to defend you and lead you into the glory I prepared for you long ago, my beloved child. There is an invisible yet powerful chain that binds many feet, the fear of people's gaze. You do not fear grieving my heart as much as you fear what others may say or think about you. There are moments when I urge you to step forward, to speak a word, to stand on the side of truth. Yet within you, a voice rises. What if they laugh at me? What if someone does not like me? My child, when you allow the voice of people to sound louder than my word, you are handing the steering wheel of your life to those who are just as fragile as you are. For they loved human praise more than the praise that comes from God. John 12:43. I do not want you to walk that path. What is truly frightening is not that people may dislike you, but they may let that fear pull you away from the very place where I long to defend you and raise you up. I know there are scratches on your heart. The moments when you were mocked, looked down on, and called names you can never forget. Those memories have made you shrink back, living just enough so no one notices you, as long as you can feel safe. But my child, you were not created to live under the shadow of people's judgments. When you let one comment, one cold attitude, or one criticism decide who you are, you have forgotten my voice calling you beloved. Yes, I am the one who comforts you. Why then are you afraid of mere mortals who must die? And why do you forget the Lord who made you? Isaiah 51:12-13. Your fear of people grows only because the image of me in your heart has become small. I do not condemn you for this, but I long to heal it. Look back for a moment. How many times have you clearly known what was right, yet did not dare to do it simply because you were afraid of how others would see you? I stirred you to forgive, but you feared people would call you weak. I called you to step out and serve, but you feared they would say you were showing off. I placed a testimony in your heart, but you were afraid to share it in case they laughed at you. My child, if I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Galatians 1:10. I do not want you to be a slave to public opinion when you have been called to be a child of the King. Small acts, such as daring to confess my name in a crowd, daring to share what I have spoken, and daring to stand on the side of truth, are spiritual signatures, showing that you have chosen me over your own sense of safety. My child, I desire to lift you up, to bring you out of the dark corners of shame and into the place of honor I have prepared. I want to defend you, to open doors for you that no one can close, and to show both you and others that I am with you. Say, I have set before you an open door that no one can shut. Revelation 3:8. But if, when I open the door, you still stand outside because you fear people's comments, you will watch blessings pass right before your eyes. I will not force you to step through. I invite you, and the deepest regret will not be, I never had a chance, but God opened the door, yet I did not dare to walk through. My child, the fear of people's opinions will shrink as your holy fear of me grows. When you realize that my eyes rest upon you more gently than any other gaze, you will be less shaken by frowns and whispers. I am not asking you to despise others, but I do want you to place every gaze where it belongs. My gaze is the one that ultimately matters. I am the one who judges, not people. I remind you of this so you will know that your final worth is not defined by the crowd. When you dare to live according to what I say, even when others do not yet understand, you step into a new realm of freedom, a place where your heart is no longer controlled by anyone's smile or scowl. And then, if you dare to choose me over human opinion, you will see something strange happen. The very people who once despised you will have to look again. The very places that closed to you will be forced to open, and the very stories that once made you lower your head will become testimonies of my grace. I will use your life as an answer to many questions, proving that whoever fears me and obeys my voice will never ultimately lose out in that day. What makes you tremble will no longer be people's words, but a holy reverence. Afraid of missing what I want to do. Afraid of dragging your feet when I have already spoken. And from there, you will walk into new stages, not with feet bound by public opinion, but with the light heart of a child who knows they are walking in the Father's will, in the very hour of my vindication, and through doors I myself have opened. My beloved child, now I want you to hide my words deep within your heart. Hold them the way someone protects a small lamp on a stormy night. And keep walking, because what is coming will not only change your outward circumstances, but will also change the way you see yourself, the way you see me, and the way you see the journey you are walking. This is not just a beautiful sentence meant to comfort you. It is a real signal in the spiritual realm. You are much closer than you think. There are things I have not yet shown you clearly, because if you saw everything, you would no longer need faith. But today, I lift the curtain just a little. You are not standing at the beginning. You are standing near the end of a stage, at a point where every small decision, every choice that seems ordinary, can determine whether you step into or step away from what I have planned. That is why you must not look down on this moment. You must not treat lightly what I am whispering into your heart right now. I have watched so many generations pass before my eyes, so many faces, so many stories, so many hearts that once burned brightly and then slowly grew dim. I have seen those who were only a short distance from breakthrough, yet because of weariness, turned away from the path I had marked for them. I have seen those who gave their youth to obey me, who endured shame, wounds, and loneliness, yet when they were close to restoration, they surrendered. They stood before a field, golden and ready for harvest, but turned away, believing that harvest was not meant for them. Some stood right at the bridge I had built, yet walked back because they thought the other shore was too far. My child, the deepest pain is not never tasting blessing, but coming so close and never touching it, reaching out your hand, then pulling it back. I do not want your life to become an almost story like that. I do not want heaven to speak your name with the sentence that one came very close, but their heart would not take the final few steps. My child, you must understand that the final stretch of the road is always where the wind grows strongest, like a long-distance runner. The part near the finish line is where lungs burn, legs shake, the heart races, and everything inside just wants to stop. It is the same in the spiritual realm. When my promise is close to being revealed, the pressure around you often rises, not falls. The opposing voices become louder. Unexpected troubles arrive in waves. Nameless anxieties flood your mind. This is not a sign that I am pulling away, but a sign that the enemy knows it is about to lose. So it thrashes harder one last time. It cannot close the door I open, but it can pull you away from the threshold through distraction, doubt, irritation, comparison, and self-pity. It will use everything that has ever wounded you to drag old memories back into view, to make you forget what I have spoken and remember only what the world has done to hurt you. I do not say this to make you afraid, but to wake you up. If these days your mind feels louder and your heart feels more restless, it is not because you are on the wrong path, but because you are drawing very near to a spiritual turning point. I have watched many people who, after years of trusting, suddenly allowed doubt to take the center of their hearts. At first, they only allowed a few passing thoughts. Maybe God never meant this for me. Maybe I heard God wrongly. Maybe I have been waiting in the wrong place. Little by little, those questions stopped being passing thoughts and became the foundation for every decision. They began to act from fear instead of from my word. They chose quick fixes, short roads, doors that looked clearly open before them, but were not doors I had opened. They accepted less because they no longer believed I still had more for them. My child, my heart aches when I see them step onto these shortcuts, because shortcuts always lead to dead ends. While the path I choose may seem winding and slow, but it surely reaches the destination. I have also seen hearts so tired from waiting that they give themselves permission to turn aside. They say, "I will take care of myself because it seems God is not taking care of me." They step into relationships that do not come from me, accept jobs I did not lead them toward, and sign small compromises their conscience knows are wrong. But they comfort themselves, as long as I suffer less than I do now. They do not realize that each decision is pushing them away from the orbit of my promise. I do not abandon them, but they themselves have left the place where I had prepared to give them something better. I look at them and wish they had waited just a little longer. I wish they had dared to believe that I truly loved them as I said. Wish they had allowed me to hold their hand a little longer before letting go and running after what their eyes could see. My dear child, I tell you this, not so you can feel greater than others, but so you understand that no one is immune to the temptation to quit near the end, not even you. Yet unlike them, you are being warned by me ahead of time. I am drawing you back with my word at the very moment when many others can no longer hear it. What does that mean? It means I have not abandoned you. It means I still value your journey. It means I am looking at you with hope, not disappointment. If I were indifferent, I would simply allow you to drift with your own weary thoughts. But today, I have chosen to call you by name to remind you that you are not an outsider to my plan. You belong in my story. And that story is not finished. Even if you feel too tired to keep reading, when I say, do not lose heart, for your reward will be very great. I am not speaking empty words. I truly see a reward waiting for you, even if your eyes cannot see it yet, my child. Therefore receive this word, not only with your ears, but with your heart. Do not simply nod and then forget. Let it take root. Remind yourself every day, I am closer to the promise than I think. I will not walk away from the place God has put me. Let your mouth speak differently from your feelings. When your heart wants to give up, all the more you must say, Lord, I am weak, but you are strong. I am tired, but I choose not to quit. When your thoughts want to slip away from my path, bring those very thoughts before me and say, honestly, I am doubting. Please heal me of this doubt. I do not despise hearts that dare to bring even their weakness to me. The only time you shut me out is when you pretend to be strong while quietly drifting far from me. Remember, every stage of the road you have already walked with me. The times I rescued you from situations that seemed hopeless. The times you thought you would collapse completely. Yet somehow you were still standing. The moments you realized an unseen hand had pulled you out of the worst. These are not only sweet memories to tell as pleasant stories, they are markers I have placed in your life. So that today, when you are weary, you can look back and see that I have never failed to keep my word. If I did not abandon you in your darkest days, why would I abandon you now when the path ahead is about to shine? If I stayed beside you when you had nothing to offer, nothing to boast about, why would I step away when you are about to enter a harvest season? Use the memories of earlier grace to answer today's fears. Use what I've already done to remind your own heart that I will act again, in my way and in my time. Look at your fear and distraction with different eyes. They are not signs that you have failed, but mirrors showing how much you need me right now. When you feel like running away and withdrawing, that is exactly when you need to run closer and sit longer at my feet. Do not think you must feel strong before you come to me. Come to me exactly as you are now, trembling as you are. I can embrace shaking hearts. I can gather hopes that are fraying. I can lift again those who almost no longer want to stand. I am not asking you for perfect faith. I only ask that, in all your imperfection, you still keep holding my hand. Even if it is only with a tiny thread of hope, my child. I say this with all the love of a father. Do not write your own name into the list of those who stopped when only a few steps remained. Do not let the angels have to whisper to one another. They ran well but stopped just before dawn. Do not let the story of your life end with, they once believed, once served, once persevered, but did not go to the end. I want your story to be written like this, and that person, though weary, still clung to God's word, stood firm until the end, and saw what God had promised become reality. That is why I am speaking to you right now, so that nothing in you can still excuse itself by saying, "I did not know, no one reminded me." Finally, understand this. What I am preparing for you is not just a temporary miracle, but a transformation of life from the inside out. I do not only want to change your position, circumstances, finance, or relationships. I want to change the way you believe, the way you love, and the way you look at me. What is coming is not a gift for you to show off before others, but a divine arrangement, so you may live true to the named child of God in this world. And to step into it, you need something very simple, yet very hard not to turn your back in the critical moment. Let me hold you. Stop pulling your hand away. You have come this far. Do not let weariness and distraction steal the fruit of so many years of tears, prayers, and faithfulness. I am here right beside you, not to tell you a pretty story, but to take your hand and say, "Walk on with me. Do not stop now." My child, I have watched so many people stretch out their hands almost to the point of touching what I promised, only to slowly let go, not because the promise changed, but because they believed the poisonous whisper that I had left them, that I no longer remembered their tears and the times they knelt. Some have gone very far, have been faithful and steadfast for many years, have sown with sweat and tears, yet just before the harvest appeared on the horizon, they turned their backs on the very field they had plowed, walked away empty-handed, and then concluded that I was unfair. I look at them with deep sorrow, because with just a little more endurance, just one more moment of standing firm, they could have held in their hands the sheaves they themselves had watered with sleepless nights. That is why today I speak to you gently but firmly, not to scold you, but to awaken you so your heart does not fall into the same pit of despair where so many others have slipped, so you do not become one of those who stop right at the threshold I am opening. The fact that you are hearing these words right now is not an accident. It is not something you simply happen to scroll past, not just another random piece of content in an ocean of information. This is a spiritual appointment I have arranged with you so that at the very moment you think you are about to collapse, you hear my voice calling you by name. I, your God. I know very well the slow-burning weariness inside you, the kind of tiredness not only in your body, but in your hope, which has been disappointed so many times that you now hesitate to expect anything. I know how many times you have silently told yourself, "Maybe this is far enough. Maybe God did not intend this for me," and your smile has grown dim. Your prayers have become shorter, and your heart has closed itself to greater things. But my child, the place you call a dead end is often the bend in the road that leads into a new land, and it is exactly there that the battle becomes more intense than ever. The enemy of your soul is not afraid of your uncertain steps at the beginning. It fears your trembling steps that still cling to me near the end. It is not afraid of your quick promises at the start. It fears your quiet perseverance on days when no one sees you. It knows better than anyone that when you keep holding my hand until the final moment, no power can stop me from completing what I have spoken. That is why it does not waste its strength fighting my hand, because it cannot. Instead, it throws every attack at your heart so that you will be the one to let go. It uses everything: the mocking laughter of people, rumors whispered behind your back, contemptuous looks, comparisons that make you feel small, and words that seem casual but pierce directly into your old wounds, all to make you believe you are unworthy, unload, and someone who has missed their time. It whispers, "Say, God is not defending you. He is not with you," as he said. If he were truly with you, why must you wait this long? Why must you be ashamed before so many people? Then it pulls out your past, your falls, and your old mistakes, pressuring you to agree with its conclusion. God has forgotten you. My child, I want you to understand this. Whenever those voices become louder than mine, That is when you are entering the fiercest battlefield of your spiritual life. It is not coincidence that just as you are about to break through old limits, waves of criticism, doubt, and confusion begin to crash in. It is not accidental that just as I am opening a door, the fear of people's opinions within you suddenly grows stronger than ever. The enemy cannot lock the door I have opened. It can only make you stand at the threshold and step back because you are afraid of public opinion, afraid of losing your image, and afraid of being misunderstood. It cannot put out the lamp I have lit for you, but it will do everything it can to make you cover your own light so it will not be seen. It understands very well what I have spoken: whoever endures to the end will be saved. So its whole strategy is focused on those 3 words: to the end. How can it make you quit just a little before that? And then a little more, until you leave the battlefield completely, while still telling yourself that you are only taking a short break. That is why today, I am not speaking to you with rebuke, but as a father sitting beside a sighing child, gently placing my hand on your shoulder and whispering, "My child, do not believe that noise out there. Look into my eyes. I am still here. I have not forgotten. I want you to see that the feeling of abandonment is not proof that I am absent. It is only a mist the enemy blows into your face to block your vision. The spiritual reality is the opposite. Exactly when you think I am farthest away is when I am watching you most closely, like a farmer standing silently at the edge of his field, watching every tiny movement of the seed he has sown, waiting for it to split open. You do not see me rushing in because there are battles I want you to experience with me, not merely stand outside and wait for the result. There are moments when I allow you to reach the very end of yourself, so you will understand that your survival does not rest on your own strength at all. Do you remember when Peter walked on the water? He took several steps inside the miracle. But when the wind rose, he began to look at the waves, at the force of the wind, at his own weakness, and he started to sink. I was there from the moment he lifted his foot out of the boat until the instant he was about to go under. I was only waiting for him to cry out, "Lord, save me." And immediately, I stretched out my hand and took hold of him. You are standing in that very place now, the place where the wind blows stronger, the waves rise higher, and your heart trembles more, not because I have left you, but because you have stepped beyond your comfort zone. If you return to the boat now because of fear, you will spend the rest of your life saying, "The Lord never let me walk on water," when in truth, you were the one who pulled your foot back halfway. I do not want that story to repeat itself in you. I do not want you to become a witness of retreat. I want you to become living proof that an ordinary, weak person who dares to cling to my word amid mocking laughter and skeptical looks can be lifted by me and led through doors they never dared to dream of before. That is why, when you hear these words, I ask you not to listen only with your ears, but to let them reach the deepest place in your heart, that hidden place where you have quietly agreed with the lies that say, "I only bother God. I do not deserve blessing. There is nothing special about me." I want to cut those sentences off at the root, because they do not come from me. I call you beloved child. I say you are my treasure, the one I have chosen. I affirm that I am with you. Do not be afraid or discouraged. I have engraved your name on the palms of my hands. How could I forget you? Look back over the journey you have just walked. If I have upheld you through so many earlier waves, could it be that now, when the shore is near, I would leave you to drift away? The only thing that can truly make you lose your way is not my hand letting go, but your choice to believe the noise over my word, to fear displeasing people more than missing the hour when I rise to defend you. Therefore, today I invite you, not with a shout but with a whisper, to rise once more, to loosen the cords of human opinion wrapped around your heart, to turn your face away from the crowd and lift your eyes to me. There, in Megaze, you will understand that you are loved far more than you ever believed, that you are expected far more than you imagined, and that a new season is truly drawing nearer than you can picture. Do not let go now, my child, because the place you think is the end of the story is actually the first page of the new chapter I am about to write for your life, a chapter where, when you look back one day, You will realize that if on that day you had bowed your head in fear of people, you would have missed the moment when I stepped forward to stand up for you before them. My child, what I want you to see now is no longer what people are saying, but what is happening at the deeper level of your soul, and in the spiritual realm your eyes cannot yet see. Your enemy is extremely cunning. It does not always use great sins or obvious temptations to knock you down. Instead, it drips into your mind, small streams of scattered thoughts, vague anxieties, and endless what-if questions. It places before you countless tasks that seem urgent but are actually trivial. So your heart stays tangled like a ball of string, leaving no space for peace or for my gentle whisper. It lets you sink into conversations that bring only irritation, pointless arguments meant to prove you are right, insults that keep you busy explaining yourself, and wounds to your pride that cost you hours thinking about how people see you. Meanwhile, the things that truly belong to eternity, the things I have sown in you with tears, with those nights you knelt, with those moments when you chose to obey, even when it cost you, are slowly pushed to the margins. I want you to understand that every time you let your heart drift with those waves of distraction, you are unknowingly trading an entire season of blessing for a few minutes of satisfaction, a few compliments, or a brief feeling of false safety. And that is an exchange you will regret when you look back. My beloved, throughout the history of your journey with me, there have always been decisive moments. Hours I marked as special. Seasons I set apart to reveal what I had long prepared for your life. They are not loud, not accompanied by trumpets, not when the lights are brightest, but often arrive in silence after a long season of faithfulness without visible results. This very moment is one of those times. I have ordered your steps, formed in you a teachable heart, and allowed you to pass through injustice, silence, and tears so that the roots of your faith would grow deep. I am opening before you a door that belongs uniquely to you, tied to your story, your wounds, and your prayers. A door no one else can walk through in your place, and for which there is no duplicate. I call this period set-apart time. It is not a random stretch of your life, but the meeting point between my promise and your response. If in this very hour, because of fear of public opinion, because you are tired, weary, or busy chasing the noise, you lock your heart tightly and retreat into a safe shell, then it is as though you gather all the years you lifted your face to me in tears, all the times you believed in darkness, all the precious things you sacrificed for my sake, and throw them into a corner as if they had never mattered. I say this to you not as a stranger giving advice, but as the one who has walked with you step by step, the one who knows every night you wanted to give up yet still clung to me. Therefore, I have the right and the authority to warn you. Do not waste the golden hour of your soul on passing voices. This is not the time to keep turning left and right to read people's faces, to see who supports you today, who stays silent, who criticizes, and who praises. Nor is it the time to sit and analyze yourself until you are exhausted. Why this happened, why that has not changed, why this person treats you that way. The more you try to trace every reason, the more you will be pulled into a circle of speculation and sorrow with no way out. What you need most now is to reset the center of your soul, to keep the inner eyes of your heart fixed on what I have revealed before you, on the words I have spoken in Scripture, and on the confirmations I have repeated through circumstances, dreams, and different people. I have used it to strengthen and encourage you. If you press your ear against the noise of this world, the news, public opinion, harsh or loveless criticism, sarcasm, and unfair comparisons, then my whisper in the depths of your heart will be drowned out, not because I stop speaking, but because you have chosen another channel to listen to. If you allow discouragement, pessimism, and self-pity to cover you like a heavy garment, you may easily arrive at a dangerous decision to release the promise right when it is beginning to take shape, like a farmer who has sown through the whole season and watered with sweat and tears. But because he is tired and assumes nothing more will happen, He leaves his field right before the harvest and lets someone else enter and reap freely. On the contrary, if you remain patiently with me, not in a tense or strained posture, but in a deep inner rest where you choose to believe that I am still working even when your emotions rise and fall unpredictably, then you will see that every day of waiting, every time you hold your tongue instead of speaking bitter words, every time you choose obedience over following your feelings, all of it is weaving together the very answer you desire. When your eyes finally see what I have done, you will say, "So not 1 hour was wasted, my child." The harvest season in your spiritual life is no longer far away. What I have sown in you through years of fiery testing has ripened. The fragrance of a season of answered prayers is already in the air. That is exactly why the enemy is more frantic than ever. It increases its attack on your thoughts, pours in confusion, enlarges criticism, and makes small matters appear huge. All for one purpose: to pull you out of the field I have long allowed you to cultivate with me. It whispers that all the impressions you have carried, that I am about to move, are nothing more than emotions, your own imagination comforting itself, that nothing is truly changing, and that it is better not to hope than to risk disappointment. If you listen, you will close the lid over what I am forming in the unseen realm. But I affirm to you, those deep stirrings in your heart, those moments when an inexplicable faith rises within you when there is no reason left to hope, those dreams, those verses of scripture that suddenly shine exactly when you need them. They are not stage props created by passing emotions. They are signals I am sending ahead of time, prophetic markers showing that the door I have prepared for you is slowly opening. This is not only a pleasant feeling after an inspiring sermon, but spiritual reality actually shifting. My plan is reaching a turning point. My arrangements behind the scenes are coming close to the part you can see with your eyes. The clock of my appointed time does not stop. Whether you notice it or not, the flow of my time continues moving forward. Every moment, whether you are believing or doubting, is carrying you closer to the point where I will act on your behalf. Not because you are worthy, but because I am faithful to my own word, and for that very reason, I plead with you as a father begging his child not to fall asleep. Do not allow your mind to remain filled with low noises. Do not let your heart be controlled by the fear of people, but stay awake. Reset your priorities and let the full attention of your inner being turn back to me, because the moment when I defend you and lift you through the door I have opened will not wait until you are finished being busy with every meaningless whisper of this world. My beloved child, after everything I have spoken to you about the gaze of people and the voices that can pull your heart away from me, now I want you to pause and truly listen. This very moment is not an accident, but a time I have deliberately arranged. This is not just a small piece of the story. It is a spiritual crossroads where you must choose either to continue living as before, half believing and half afraid, half listening to me and half fearing people, or to decide to lean wholly toward me. Despite what your eyes see, I am placing before you a moment more precious than gold, not because your outward circumstances are beautiful, but because in this very instant I am gently knocking on the door of your heart once again. Do not assume you will have countless such knocks in your life. There are hours I set apart for a true turning point, and if you are sincere, you will recognize that this is one of those hours. Do not let your thoughts drift into the idea of, "I'll deal with it later," for that is one of the enemy's most dangerous whispers. It does not push you to reject me. It simply pours into your heart the suggestion that there is no hurry. Tomorrow is fine. When things are more stable, then I will get serious with God. It is exactly those harmless-sounding thoughts that have led many souls away from the good plans I drew for them. Think about it. How many times have you intended to change, to live wholeheartedly, to return to me with your whole heart, and yet, because you delayed a little, everything gradually cooled until you even forgot there had once been a promise between you and me. I do not say this to condemn you, but so you may clearly see the subtle scheme trying to lull you to sleep. Tomorrow does not always arrive the way you imagine. There are people who also once said in their hearts that they would believe, obey, and come back on some beautiful day, but they never knew that day would never appear in their spiritual life. Today I speak to you not, so you will be moved for a moment and then forget, but so you will realize this is a personal invitation addressed to you, not to the anonymous crowd, not to more spiritual people, but to you yourself, the one who is reading, thinking, and weighing so many things. I want you to understand that this present moment is grace, a gift I am placing in your hand. You can hold it tightly with a decision, or you can let it slip away among your distractions. I do not force you, but I tell you plainly, if you keep stepping back, if you keep choosing silence in the face of my call, you will lose a very special season I am beginning in your life. Do not take the winding paths I have not shown you. There was a time when I placed in your heart a promise, a calling, to a direction. You know very well which way you are meant to walk. You simply have not dared, if now you choose to avoid it, to keep yourself busy with 1,000 things, so you will not have to face my word. You will end up both weary and without peace. I do not want your life to drift along in half-hearted decisions. I am calling you to stop. Lift your eyes to me, and remember what I said to you in the beginning. My promise is not a bargaining chip for you to trade with me. If everything goes smoothly, I will obey. If not, I will wait for another time. My promise is the foundation on which you dare to step forward, even though there is still much ahead that you do not yet understand. When I tell you to cling to my word, it is because I know there will be winds, there will be waves, there will be whispers that shake you. You cannot expect a path that is perfectly smooth, but you can expect a Lord who never changes. If you keep your heart turned toward me, if you keep your spiritual eyes fixed on the one who has promised, then no storm will be strong enough to sweep you away. You will still see the waves, and still hear the scorn of others, and still endure delays that pierce your heart. But in the midst of all that, you will recognize that my hand has never left yours. I have said that I am faithful, which means I am true to my own word. I do not go back on it. I do not turn away from what I have begun. What I ask of you is not perfection, but steadfastness, that even when you are tired, you still decide not to release my hand. Do not be overly troubled when others do not believe what I am doing in your life. They may laugh, they may not understand, they may make light of the spiritual turning point you are passing through, but my child, they are not the ones who will walk with you to the end of the road. I am the one who will go with you to the deepest place of your soul. When I call you to stand firm and not be shaken, that is not a vague phrase meant only to comfort you. It is a way of life. As you remain in the place I have assigned you, even when the wind changes direction, you will gradually see what I have begun in you take shape, rise up, and bear fruit. There are things still hidden now, unseen by anyone, but right in that hidden place, I am building a new future for you. I also know the anxiety within you when you see everything slowing down. You ask yourself, if this is my appointed time, why does everything not open all at once? If this truly is a door the Lord has opened, why do I still feel so unsure? You forget that in every promise, there is always a period of preparation. A seed cannot blossom the moment it is sown. A child cannot run the moment it is born. Everything I build according to my timing needs a silent interval to send roots deep, so that when it rises, it will not be easily uprooted. What you call delay, from my perspective, is often mercy, because I fear that if I lifted you up too quickly, you would not be able to carry the weight of the very blessing itself. I want you to grow through the process, not flare up for a brief moment only to burn out. Therefore, instead of sitting and counting the days until the miracle comes, I invite you to change the question while you are waiting. Who is the Lord wanting me to become? When you ask in this way, you will see that each day suddenly takes on meaning. The small things you do, the hours you remain faithful, the times you choose silence instead of retaliation, the moments you choose to be present with me instead of escaping into entertainment. All of these are shaping you into someone who can carry what I am about to entrust to you. That is how you keep your heart from being scattered, from being pulled away from the center, which is me. Now I am not only telling you to listen and keep these things for yourself, I am calling you to become a carrier of the message. When I touch you through these words, it is not only so you may be comforted, but also so you may become a channel for others. When you bravely share what I am speaking, even if it is only one sentence, one paragraph, or one single thought, you are signing a spiritual covenant through your actions. You are saying to me, I do not only believe in secret, I dare to stand on what you have said. That is faith becoming visible. Belief lived out in real life. It is no longer a passing emotion, but a decision that can be seen through your steps, your words, and your willingness to openly declare to whom you belong. You may think that sharing a message, to a word of encouragement, a video, or a few lines of text is not important. But in the spiritual realm, those small actions are like planting a flag on your own ground and declaring, this territory of my life belongs to the Lord. You are not only bearing witness to others, you are also bearing witness to your own heart. Every time you dare to express your faith, the fear of people's opinions loses a little more of its hold. And every time you stay silent only because you are afraid of what they may think, that unseen cord tightens another loop around your heart. I invite you into freedom through small actions that carry deep meaning. When you share what comes from me with reverence, not to show off or argue, you are showing heaven that you value my voice above every like, every comment, and every approval from the crowd. Instead of allowing your mouth merely to repeat the noise of the world, you turn it into a channel for the living word from me. That is a form of worship. It is also a quiet yet powerful declaration that you do not want to miss the moment whose bell I have already rung. You are riding into the air. I am no longer asleep. I want to stay awake and keep watch with you. I know that living this way will require you to wrestle within yourself. There will be moments when you feel awkward, embarrassed, or misunderstood. I see all of those hesitations, and I do not condemn you. On the contrary, I take your hand and say, take just one small step at a time. I am walking with you. I do not demand that you immediately become someone who fears no one. I only desire that today you become a little less afraid than yesterday, a little less dependent on the gaze of others, and cling to me more tightly. Every small step is precious to me because I know what you must overcome inside in order to dare to move forward like that. My beloved child, remember that when I say now is the time, I do not say it to make you panic, but to pull you out of carelessness. I am not telling you to rush into meaningless activity, but inviting you to stay awake in mind and heart. To be awake means not living by habit alone, not doing everything simply because everyone else does, but daring to pause and ask me, Lord, what should I do with my life today? What do I need to obey today? When you live this way, each ordinary day becomes part of a prophetic moment. You are no longer being swept along, but walking with the awareness that there is one guiding every step. So I whisper to you once more, do not let this moment pass like all the others. Let it become a landmark, the place where you decide that from now on, you will fear me more than public opinion, cling to my word more than your feelings, and dare to say yes as soon as you hear my voice instead of waiting for a perfect day that will never come. From that decision, I will lead you into doors you cannot yet imagine, and when you look back, you will know that it was today, in this seemingly ordinary hour, that you answered my gentle yet majestic call, the call that drew you out of distraction and into a season of awakening, of keeping watch with the Father of your soul. Therefore, after everything you have gone through, the slanderous words, the doors that closed, the times you trembled beneath the gaze of others, what I am calling you to now is not to try to become perfect, but to guard within you the things that deserve protection. First of all, guard your inner life. The heart is where every decision is born, the place where the words I sow can either take root or be choked out. If you allow bitterness, humiliation, shame, and the obsession with how people see you to fill that space, then no matter how many times I speak, my words will only skim the surface and never sink deeply. I want your heart to become soft, but not careless, sensitive to the Holy Spirit, yet not fragile before every judgment. Your heart is like a field. If you do not keep watch over it, the weeds of comparison, inferiority, and doubt will quickly cover it, hiding the living shoots I have planted. I do not want your heart to become a battlefield for every opinion, every feeling, and every verdict. I want it to become a place where I can rest, where you can hear my heartbeat and learn to breathe in rhythm with it. Next, pay attention to what enters your ears. What you hear each day quietly shapes the way you see yourself and the way you see me. If you keep listening to criticism, sarcasm, and opinions that make you feel small and inadequate, sooner or later you will begin to believe that this is truly who you are. I have said faith comes by hearing, but fear, shame, and bondage also come by that same path. I want you to learn to discern which voice comes from me and which is only the sound of hurt, of public opinion, of people who themselves are still in chains. Whenever you hear a word that touches you, ask yourself, does this draw me nearer to the Lord or push me away? Does it soften my heart or harden it? Does it remind me of grace or sow more fear? If it only makes you feel small in a destructive way, making you want to hide from me instead of run toward me, then you know that is not the voice of your Father. I am teaching you to close your ears to opinions that put out the flame and to open them to words that build and correct in love. Even if they sometimes hurt a little, then I invite you to guard your focus. You are living in an age where everything is competing for your eyes and your thoughts, flashing notifications, new stories, comments, and endless comparisons. All of it is like a fine drizzle constantly falling on your mind, making it difficult for you to remain in one place for long, difficult to become still enough to hear a full word from me. But my child, if you are not careful, that very distraction will steal the moment of my movement in your life. The enemy does not need to drag you into obvious sin. It only needs to keep you busy with meaningless things long enough so that when my appointed hour comes, your gaze is fixed somewhere else. I want you to understand that the minutes you spend focused before me, with no screen, no noise, and no performance for anyone, are the minutes when all of heaven becomes silent to listen to you. In those spaces, I realign your vision, remind you of my promises, and reorder the chaotic pieces in your heart so you can see the picture I am painting. If you keep allowing yourself to be swept away, you will live your whole life in a state of almost understanding without ever fully grasping what I am speaking. You need to know that the harvest I have promised you is not an empty metaphor. It is real. It is drawing near, and it has been prepared not only by what I have spoken, but also by all the times you were faithful when no one was watching, every time you forgave when you had every right to be angry, every time you chose to do what was right when doing wrong would have been much easier, every time you stayed silent and allowed me to defend you instead of defending yourself. Each one was a seed. Often, you think your efforts fall into nothingness, but in heaven, nothing falls and is lost. I have gathered every small action, every step taken without applause, every night when you wanted to give up but still whispered, Lord, I trust you. That is why I can tell you that the harvest is no longer only a possibility. It is a reality, gradually unfolding. When the harvest comes, you will see that it is not the result of a temporary spiritual impulse, but the fruit of all the years you have walked persistently with me. That is why I earnestly urge you, do not let go just because you are tired. Do not step back just because you fear people's words. Do not lose your focus for the sake of a few glittering distractions before your eyes. Your victory is much closer than you think. You believe you are still in the middle of the road, but in reality, you are already at the turning point. You think you are only beginning, but I already see stretched before you a field in full bloom. You did not arrive here by accident. If you look back, you will see a chain of steps you thought were small, but which I used to lead you to this very point. Relationships were knit together and then separated. Doors opened and seemed as though they would remain open for a long time, but then closed. Stretches of road you thought were detours brought you nearer to me. None of these were random mistakes. They are strokes in a picture whose fullness only I can see. You may think you only happened to scroll past, happened to pause, happen to hear these words, but I want you to know that in my world, the chance does not exist for those who belong to me. You think this is only an ordinary moment, a small decision to open a video, read a passage, or listen to a sentence, but in heaven, this moment was scheduled long ago. I already knew the day you would be weary, the hour you would waver, the minute you would be ready to give up, and at that exact point of wavering, I arranged for my word to touch the very place of pain in your heart. I do not always use great events to call you. Many times, I use only a quiet moment in the middle of all the noise, where you are tired enough to stop pretending to be strong and wounded enough to be willing to hear the truth. This moment is such a moment. I want you to understand that what you are hearing now is not only a talk or an emotional piece of writing. This is not merely a beautiful idea or a passing source of inspiration. This is my confirmation that I see you, that I have traced every step you have taken in order to arrive exactly where you are standing. When you hear the words, "Do not fear people more than me," do not miss the hour when I open the door. They are not only general pieces of advice, they are my hand placed on your shoulder as I speak to you by your own name. I am drawing you out of the fog of people's opinions and into the light of knowing that your Father in heaven sees you and calls you personally. My voice is not like the voice of the world, because my voice is not based on your present merits, but on what I ordained for you from the beginning. I am the Lord your God. I do nothing merely for the sake of doing it. I do not speak a single word that does not carry eternal weight. When I allow a message to touch your heart, it is because I have hidden within it the answer to the confusion you are facing. I do not play with your tears, nor do I toy with your hope. If I remind you to guard your heart, your ears, and your focus, it is because I know exactly what is threatening you in the season ahead. If I tell you that victory is near, it is because I see the timelines that your eyes cannot yet see. While you see only a present tangled with memories, I see the beginning, the middle, and the end, all at once. I know exactly where you are likely to stumble, where you may turn back, and where you are tempted to stop because you fear people's words more than losing my voice. Therefore, do not treat this moment lightly. Do not scroll past it as if it were only another piece of good content, and then leave it behind. Let these words remain within you, sinking into the places you usually keep closed. Let them question you. Who is guiding your steps? The eyes of people or the eyes of your Father, who is defining who you are, your past? The mockery or the call of the one who created you? Be honest before me about your fear of public opinion, about the times you remained silent because you were afraid of criticism, about the dreams you hid away because you feared people's laughter. I do not despise those weaknesses. I simply do not want them to bind you any longer. When you dare to uncover them before me, I begin to loosen every knot. Onebuan, from this point forward, what I desire is that you slowly move from fearing what people think to fearing that you might miss what I am doing. I want you to tremble not because of criticism, but because you realize that if you keep stepping back, keep hiding, and keep letting public opinion rule you, you may end up standing on the sidelines while I open doors for those who dare to trust me. I am not excluding you, but I will not force you either. I invite you into a new realm, the realm of those who dare to live for me instead of living for their image in the eyes of others. There, you will taste a sweet freedom, not the freedom to do whatever you like, but the freedom of no longer being held captive by judgmental whispers. My child, treat my word to you today as a marker. From this point, you can choose to keep living as before, always looking over your shoulder, weighing people's reactions before every step. Or you can begin asking a different question. Does this bring me closer to him? Does this distort or restore his image in my heart? If the answer points toward me, then step forward boldly, even if people do not yet understand, even if some disagree. But if the answer leans only toward making you look better in the eyes of others, while dimming my voice, then you know you need to release it. I will not abandon a child who dares to choose me over choosing safety. And as you walk on from this moment, even if it is only a small change in the way you think, react, or face, other people's opinions. Remember that you are not walking alone. The one speaking to you now is the same one who will go with you in every hidden choice. I will bring these words back to your mind at the very moment you are about to slip into your old way of living. I will stir within you a holy discomfort whenever you agree to let public opinion rule you, not to crush you with guilt, but to remind you that you have been called to something deeper, stronger, and more beautiful than that. And then, little by little, you will see that as your heart is guarded, your ears become selective, and your focus is set in the right place. The harvest I have spoken of will begin to take shape, not loudly, not with display, but clearly and surely. You will realize that no detail in your journey has been unnecessary. There has never been a moment when I came to you merely to fill an empty space. Each time I touch you, I turn your path slightly. Each word I speak marks a new milestone on the road you are walking, and the message you have just heard is one of those milestones. It is the place where you lift your head above the noise of people's voices and begin to fix your gaze more steadily on my eyes, the eyes of the one who has never done anything without placing within it an eternal purpose for your soul. My child, when you dare to choose my voice over the noise of this world, something very gentle yet deeply powerful will take place in your heart. The spiritual doors you once thought were locked shut will begin to open one by one. It is not because you have suddenly become more worthy, but because now you are standing in the right position to see my hand at work. There are opportunities I prepared for you long ago, but only when you stop bowing your head before public opinion and turn your face back toward me will you realize they have always been there, waiting for you to enter. You will begin to sense that it is not by chance when someone appears to support you. It is not accidental when an invitation is sent, not coincidence when new crossroads open along the path you walk. All of these are my quiet fingerprints, for I have said, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. Psalm 32:8. And when my eye is upon you, there is no door I open that any slander or criticism from people can close again. But my child, when you enter a season of open doors, that is also the time when you must guard your heart more carefully than ever. For the enemy will not let you go simply because you have chosen me. It will search for another way to pull you out of focus. Sometimes, by using things that seem reasonable enough, it will whisper to you to pause a little just to relax, to compromise a little just to make life easier, to slow down in resignation so you will clash less with public opinion. Days that look the same repeat. Work sweeps you into its cycle. Conversations go nowhere. Endless hours pass as you scroll across a screen. All of these may feel like a thin mist, yet if you allow them to cover your heart for too long, the flame I have kindled in you will slowly fade. You will not notice it immediately. It does not go out with one violent gust of wind, but with 1,000 soft breezes of distraction. I remind you of this not to blame you, but to awaken you to guard what is most precious, the burning devotion of your heart for me. For I have spoken. Above all else, guard your heart, for from it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. If you can guard your heart, you will be able to guard your whole path. My child, this is not a season for you to walk without direction. This is a season in which I want to lead you step by step in my light. You were not born to grope your way through darkness, walking and guessing, living constantly afraid of being wrong. I have placed my Holy Spirit within you, not as an abstract idea, but as a true comforter and guide. There are moments when you feel confused by choices, unsure whether to turn left or right, whether to continue or stop. It is exactly in those moments that, if you are willing to become still long enough and turn back to ask me, you will realize that I am gently inclining your heart toward the right path. I do not lead you by thunder, but by a gentle inner voice, a quiet prompting that makes you restless with what does not belong to you and gives you deep peace about what I have prepared. Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path. Psalm 119:105. Not for you to hold as a mere token, but for you to truly let it shine on every step. As you walk in my presence, you will find that you no longer have to live by guesswork, but by a tender assurance that I am walking beside you. I know there are seasons when you feel you are merely existing rather than truly living. Day after day looks the same. Dreams seem motionless. Promises seem delayed. I know there are nights when you lie down and quietly ask in your heart, Lord, is this enough? Am I truly on the right path? Or am I only comforting myself? In those moments, the voice of giving up often sounds the loudest. Weariness presses on your chest like a stone, trying to hold you down until you no longer want to try. But my beloved, right at the border between wanting to quit and rising one more time, heaven is watching you most closely. I tell you, this is not a full stop, but a colon opening into a new part of the story. What you are going through is not a wall at the end of the road, but a hidden door. I allow you to reach the limit of your endurance, not so you will break, but so you will clearly see where your strength ends and where my grace begins. Do not rush to conclude the story while I have not yet placed my pen on the final line. My child, there are things about to enter your life that you cannot yet imagine. Just as a child cannot understand the breadth of the sea when they have only ever seen a small pond, I am preparing works, relationships, doors, and opportunities that, even if I told you all of them now, your mind could not contain. Instead of trying to understand everything, learn to trust more deeply. I do not call you to be the one who explains every detail of my ways. I call you to be the one who walks in obedience, even before you understand the whole context. You may not understand why I seem slow, why I am silent, or why the road you walk is sometimes winding and steep. But you can choose to believe that I am never careless with any detail, for my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways. Isaiah 55:8. These words are not given so you will stop thinking, but so you will know the limits of your reasoning and lean more fully on my will. Do not allow your heart to be drained dry by questions I have not yet promised to answer. Do not let small details cause you to doubt the fullness of my heart for you. When you keep circling around the question why, you will wear yourself out. But when you begin to ask, Lord, what do you want me to learn in this? You will begin to grow. I do not promise that every question will be explained in this life, but I promise that nothing you entrust to me in faith will ever be wasted. The things you do not understand today, I will weave together later so that one day, when you look back, you will whisper through tears, so you did not lose even one piece of my life. In that moment, you will thank me, not only because I answered your prayers, but also because the prayers you thought were forgotten became the very foundation for things you never even dared to ask for. My dear one, hold tightly to this truth. I have not only spoken promises over you, I have already begun to bring into fulfillment what I declared. If your spiritual eyes were opened, you would notice the quiet movements around you. People I am slowly drawing nearer, old doors closing so new paths can appear, and dreams that once seemed dead beginning to rise gently again within your heart. This is not positive thinking. It is the evidence that I am actively moving in your life. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Philippians 1:6. I do not begin only to abandon the work halfway. You may pause because you are tired, but I do not stop. You may not see the future, but I still see the whole journey. What I ask from you is not perfection, but daily faithfulness, faithfulness in ordinary mornings, in quiet hours of work, in hidden moments when no one sees, and you still choose to live honestly before me. Therefore, my child, do not struggle to make yourself worthy of the promise, but immerse yourself in my presence so that you may be renewed when you are weak. Speak to me. Do not hide when fear rises. Call my name. Do not run away when your thoughts begin to drown you. Open your mouth in praise instead of sitting alone with your worries. Do not chase after proving what I have spoken. Let me prove it through your life. Place your feet into the small tasks I entrust to you, and you will see my arm open things you never dreamed of. People may not understand your choices. They may mock you when you dare to obey me, but on the day I defend you, they themselves will have to admit that something truly different has happened in your life. And as you continue walking, not in fear of public opinion, but in reverence for me. You will discover something wonderful. What matters most will no longer be where you stand in the eyes of others, but whether you are standing in the right place before my eyes. Then every door I open will no longer be a reason for you to worry about what people will think, but an opportunity for you to show your heart to me by using it faithfully and humbly. You will no longer live in constant fear that doors will slam shut on you, because you will know that what determines your life is not the hand of others, but my hand, the one who began, the one who continues, and the one who will complete everything I have spoken over your life. For this reason, my child, I want you to understand that what is happening around you is not random or meaningless. I have stirred the heavens. I have set the unseen realm in motion. I have sent angels ahead of you to prepare the way in places you cannot reach and to adjust details your mind could never control, and all for one purpose, so that the time I appointed for your life may be fulfilled, and what I spoke in secret may be revealed openly. While you are still confused by your circumstances, I have already been changing the landscape where your eyes cannot see. I have touched the hearts of people you have never met. I have shifted the setting, opening pathways where everything once seemed shut. Now, the only thing I seek in you is not extraordinary strength or superior wisdom, but a heart that is still willing to listen, a mind that is still willing to soften before me, a soul that refuses to let disappointment and weariness quietly choke the faith you first carried. I need you to remain in fellowship with me, not because I lack anything, but because if you disconnect yourself from the source of life, then even though I have arranged everything, you may still miss it, simply because you are no longer sensitive enough to recognize it. So I plead with you, do not close the door of your heart. Do not let old wounds force you into silence before me. Do not let people's words, moments of rejection, or prayers that seem unanswered turn you into someone who builds walls around yourself. Let your heart remain open, for only then can you discern what is my voice and what is the noise of the world. Only then will you clearly see my hand working behind each seemingly meaningless upheaval of recent days. Remember, the moment I have appointed is still drawing near. The spiritual clock I started in your life has never stopped, not even for one beat. Every morning you wake, every night you toss and turn, every time you sigh from weariness, all of it is being counted into that timeline. Each small moment is quietly carrying you closer to the point when my word will become reality. When that day comes, when your eyes finally see what you have long carried, only as a fragile hope in your heart, you will be astonished to realize that not one time you knelt was unnecessary. Not one sleepless night was wasted. Not one cry of anguish fell into an empty void. Everything has been gathered, pressed down, and accumulated like waters rising behind a dam, waiting only for me to say, it is time, and it will burst forth as a flood of blessing over you. You will look back and understand why I allowed delays, detours, and moments when you felt abandoned. For these very things trained your soul, making it deep enough to hold what I am about to give. A great promise placed on a shallow heart would only cause a person to shatter, but a great promise laid upon a heart refined by fire will become a blessing to many others. I assure you, I have not brought you along a long road just so you would stop at the finish line. I have not led you through winding seasons of testing, through times of being misunderstood, through doors slammed in your face, only to leave you standing beside the wall of the promise. That is not my nature. I am the one who begins, and also the one who completes. I am not a builder who leaves a house half-finished and abandoned on cold ground. If today you still find yourself alive, still longing, still stirred whenever you hear my name, that is a sign that I have not finished the story with you. The next chapter is still being written. You are not a minor character scratched out halfway through. Therefore, I ask you, do not surrender to weariness. Do not let lukewarmness quietly erode what is still beautiful within you. I know there have been moments when you wanted to shut every door, stop believing, stop hoping, and stop expecting anything more so you would not have to hurt again. But my child, if you allow your soul to freeze like that, You yourself will become the one who breaks down the bridge leading to the harvest you have watered with your own tears. I have seen many come close to the tipping point of a miracle, and then, because of a few critical words, a few cold glances, or a few prayers that seemed unanswered, accept compromise and choose an easier but wrong path. As a result, what I long to give them remains hanging forever in the realm of not yet. I do not want this to be repeated in you. I do not want to see the child I love, the one who agreed to walk with me through so many barren seasons, turn away just as the skies are beginning to gather rain. So I remind you to grip my hand even more tightly and to let your ears become more attuned to my voice than to any other sound. Keep your heart still able to tremble when it hears the things that belong to me. Do not allow indifference to cover over your first love. Do not let the fire within you fade into cold ashes simply because you are tired of waiting. If you do not have the strength to run, slow your pace. But do not leave the ranks. If you no longer have the strength to speak, sigh to me. But do not walk away in silence. If your tears are more than your words, let those very tears become your cry in place of your mouth. I do not need polished prayers. I need sincerity. For wherever there is honesty, there I still have room to act. Remember, coldness does not arrive all at once. It slips in little by little, through small compromises, through moments when you allow yourself to avoid me, and through choices where you place human opinions above my word. So today I tell you, gently yet firmly, guard your heart, for from it, all the issues of life flow. If you can keep a heart burning in a world grown cold, you will become the place where I kindle fire for many others. If you dare to stand firm while the crowd wavers, you will become a living testimony that I truly can transform a life that clings to me until the very end. And precisely when you decide not to let discouragement and coldness steal your portion, you will see the doors I have spoken of so many times begin to open, not because you force them open, but because my own hand opens them for the child who has chosen to trust me until the end. Right now, as you sit here allowing your heart to open to the words I am speaking, you may not realize that this is not just a few minutes passing among countless pieces of content out there, but a very special moment in your spiritual life, a moment when the unseen realm draws very near to your reality, where I quietly step into that small space to ask you a deeply personal question. Do you still want to walk on with me? I am not looking for great achievements from you. I am not waiting for you to do something loud and impressive. I am simply asking whether there is still a small yes in your heart for me, and so that this yes is not only in your thoughts, I invite you to use the very hands holding your phone, touching the screen, as a visible sign of what is happening invisibly. Respond to me with a simple action that carries spiritual meaning. You can press the button to show your agreement, subscribe, and stay connected to the channel as a way of saying to me, I am still here, I am still listening, I still choose to remain in what you are speaking. To others, it may look like an ordinary tap, but to me, I see it as a seal in your soul, like the memorial stones my people once set up whenever I did something among them. To remind them forever, it was right here that the Lord met me. I know you may be thinking, how important can it be just to press one button? But my child, with me, no decision is small when it is made out of love for me, and in response to my word, every quiet step, every seemingly anonymous choice, I gather into a stream that carries you further into my purposes. When you dare to show your commitment, to publicly choose to remain under my voice, instead of scrolling past like so many others, you are trampling on the fear of public opinion in a very concrete way. You are no longer only listening to me in secret, but allowing your decision to leave a mark on the outside, like when someone lifts their hands in worship in the middle of a crowd, like when a person dares to step forward and confess their faith. That small action is not insignificant to me at all. It tells me that you are not merely listening for enjoyment, not only moved for a moment, but that you are willing to let your heart be stirred until it leads you into action. In this world, where people can so easily turn off anything that does not please them, your decision to stay a little longer has already become a strong declaration. I want you to understand that I see every one of those silent choices. I know when you plan to simply scroll past, but then you stop because something inside you says, listen to the end. Because what if the Lord is speaking to you? I notice every time you want to give up and then return. Every moment you reopen the words I have spoken just to remind yourself that God is still working. When you subscribe, when you leave a sincere response, when you save something like this to listen again, I do not think it is only a habit or a matter of technology. I see it as stones you are placing on the path of returning to me. I do not require you to make loud or spectacular declarations. I simply treasure the heart that says, I still want to stay connected. I still do not want to lose his voice among all the other sounds. To me, that is precious enough to be written down. For as it is written, nothing in all creation is hidden from his sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. And I, the one who sees what human eyes cannot see, you know the true reason behind every action you take in secret. My child, when you choose to respond through something so small, you are signing your name to a new commitment between you and me. Not a perfect commitment, not a promise that you will never stumble again, but a commitment that says, even in my weakness, I still want to remain in the flow of your grace. The button you touch is not a magic charm that changes your life, but a sign for you to remember that, in a very ordinary moment, you chose not to turn your back on that call. One day, when your heart is shaken, when you once again become afraid of what people may think, you will need such markers to remind yourself, my heart once chose the Lord, and that day, I dared to show it. So today, I will choose him again. I do not use outward gestures to measure your worth, but I use them as a point of leverage to lift you up, because I know that you are dust, that you need things your physical eyes can see in order to remember what your spiritual eyes once saw. Understand that to me, one simple touch is not just a movement on a screen, but the image of a deep decision. Wherever you touch, your heart is already moving toward that place. The world pulls your hand in every direction, inviting you to touch all kinds of content that draw your spirit away from me. But today, I invite you to use that same familiar gesture to turn back to me. You are not touching what is useless. You are touching what softens your heart, what awakens your faith again. When you do that with the awareness, I am doing this because I want to cooperate with what God is speaking. I want to stay connected to the source that nourishes my soul. That action becomes a wordless prayer amid so many things trying to measure and capture your attention. I delight to see you offer a portion of that attention to me. That is the portion I use to sow new seeds into your heart. I speak to you as a gentle father. Do not despise small choices. The doors I open in the spiritual realm are often pushed open by things that seem very small. One day, you will realize that the great turning points of your life did not begin with loud events, but with an ordinary evening when you listened and quietly agreed with me. Today can be such a day when you decide not just to listen and move on, but to mark in your heart, I want to continue this journey. You have taken one more step out of the fear of people's opinions and closer to the moment when I will defend you and lift you up. Others may not notice, but I, the one who has called you by your very name, take note of it all. As the promise says, your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you, and I reward not only with material things, but with inner renewal, strength, peace, and clear direction for the days ahead of you. So, my child, if you are sensing a gentle stirring in your heart, do not quench it. Do not say, maybe next time. Do not let embarrassment or the habit of scrolling past everything pull you out of this moment. Respond to me in your own way. It may be a touch, a confession in a command, a decision to save this content so you can remind yourself later. As long as it is something you do honestly, I understand the spiritual meaning behind it. I see when you choose to stay a few minutes longer, even when your mind wants to go elsewhere. I cherish it when you say in your heart, I will not leave you halfway again. I want to go with you to the end. And that alone already gives me a reason to pour out upon you what I have long prepared. Nothing you do out of love for me is ever wasted. not even a hidden act that no one praises. When you choose to stand firm, to keep listening, and to keep believing, you are opening over your life a new stream of water that connects what I have spoken with what will unfold ahead. From this hidden place, I will lead you farther than you imagine. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that the first step of a new season was marked by a very simple decision you thought was insignificant. The decision to remain under my word, the decision not to let the fear of what people think become stronger than your longing to be close to me. And I, your Lord, the one who sees to the deepest part of your heart, will not forget a single choice you made simply to belong to me a little more. My beloved child, you have walked through so many scrutinizing looks, so many comments and whispers, so many moments of wondering whether you are worthy or not. But now I want to draw your gaze away from that noise so you can see a deeper truth. There is no moment in your life so small that it is unnecessary in my eyes. Those times you sat quietly in a dark room, feeling as though the whole world had forgotten your existence. I was still there watching you, listening to the sobs that never became words. On those afternoons when you hurried through the crowd with a forced smile, trying to look fine before others, while feeling empty inside. I was still walking with you at every step. On those nights when you tossed and turned, unable to find peace, for your heart full of questions you did not dare share with anyone. I am the one who heard every trembling beat. You do not live in a cold universe. The entire story of your life rests in the palm of my hand, and no detail is left behind. I am not careless. I do not miscount your years, and I do not overlook a single tear that has fallen for my name's sake or because of the wounds I allowed in order to teach you to grow in faith. You often think that only spiritual moments, when you pray with fire, serve with passion, or give with generosity, have value before me, and that the moments of weakness, exhaustion, and weariness are hardly worth mentioning. But you are mistaken. I am present even when you do not feel spiritual at all, even when your prayer has become only a tired sigh, when all you can say is, Lord, I am at the end of myself. I do not turn away in disappointment. In that very moment, I bend down closer. I hear the words you do not say. I see the tears you wipe away quickly, and I count every time you want to give up, but still choose to cling to me. Each small moment you think is meaningless is actually an invisible line being carved into the story of your faith before heaven. I tell you this, there is no moment that is useless, no pain that is forgotten, no prayer that disappears into the void when it reaches me from a sincere, even fragile heart. My child, I am not a distant deity too busy to remember the details of your life. I am not one who makes promises and then abandons them, leaving you to manage everything alone. I do not speak empty words just to comfort you for a moment. When I speak, my very nature is bound to that word, so if my word were ever to fail, I would no longer be myself, but that will never happen. I am not confused, not slow, not powerless before any force that is set against you. If you look around and see that everything is still quiet, it is not because I have left you, but because I am quietly preparing something which, when it appears, will leave you and those watching you in awed silence. I am weaving, turning, and rearranging the things you think are unrelated, so that suddenly, in a moment of my choosing, they will come together to form a new picture of your life, one you never even dared to dream. Therefore, I tell you, keep your ears open. Do not allow negative voices, harsh judgments, or old memories of failure to fill the inner space until there is no room left for my voice. I do not speak to you only in unusual moments. I often whisper through very ordinary things, a verse of scripture suddenly rising in your mind, a song that unexpectedly touches the painful place, a friend who accidentally speaks directly into what you are hiding. This is how I gently nudge your soul. Be watchful, not in panic, but in the sensitivity of faith, so you can discern when I am knocking on the door of a new season. You think everything will simply remain dull and drawn out like this, but I am preparing a turning point. Do not let weariness make your ears heavy, Ask me to anoint your heart so you can hear every spiritual movement shifting around you. What I am about to do in your life will not be a small patch or minor adjustment, but a deep shift so profound that when you look back, you will see a clear boundary between before and after. I do not upgrade your life the way people update a software version. I reshape the way you see me, the way you see yourself, and the way you see the meaning of your life. There will be people who witness this turning point and still try to explain it as luck, coincidence, your own effort, favorable circumstances, or the help of this or that person. But deep within, you will know that an unseen hand has intervened. I will move in such a way that no one, not even you, it can boast. It was by my own strength. What I do will carry the unmistakable mark of grace, greater than your ability, beyond your expectations, exceeding the limits others placed on you, and breaking even the boundaries you unknowingly built around yourself. You will see that there were doors you knocked on until your knuckles were raw, yet they still stayed closed. Relationships you begged to keep still fell apart. Opportunities you clung to still slipped from your hands. You sat alone and concluded that you were a failure, that your life was cursed, that I had favored others more than you. But you were looking from below. I see from above. And I know who you would have become if those doors had opened exactly as you wanted. There would have been connections that drew you far from me, positions that fed your pride, and successes that convinced you that you no longer needed me. So even though you cried and prayed, I had to say no. And that no from yesterday has now become a saving grace you did not understand at the time. I have blocked many paths you intended to take, not because I am strict or harsh, but because I do not want you to wander into beautifully decorated dead ends. The enemy is skilled at building roads that look bright and glamorous: fame, applause, the feeling of belonging to a group, being admired, and being recognized. But deep inside, they pull your soul away from its true place of safety. I am not willing to trade your soul just so you do not feel inferior before the world. That is why I would rather allow you to pass through seasons of disappointment, moments of staggering, and opportunities that seem completely lost, than allow you to walk through a door that would burn up everything I have been sowing in you all this time. Have you noticed that after every closed door, even though your heart ached, you still had me? And then, over time, you began to see new pieces appear: a healthier relationship, a more peaceful direction, an environment more aligned with the nature I placed within you. At that point, you began to faintly realize that the breakdowns of the past were not meaningless at all. They are like speed limit signs along the road, reminding you not to rush ahead too quickly by instinct, only to crash into a wall you cannot see. I've been quietly correcting your path, redirecting your steps, cutting away, adding in, like a patient potter shaping clay into the form he desires. What I am preparing for you is not merely an easier door, but the right door, right for your calling, your temperament, the abilities I have given, and above all, right for my eternal purpose for your soul. I do not want you to enter places that only make you feel a little less inferior for a moment. I want to bring you into a place where you live in agreement with what I spoke over you from the beginning. Therefore, do not measure your worth by how many doors people open for you. Learn instead to look toward the door I am preparing, the door that, when you walk through it, will no longer require you to strain to prove who you are, because my presence upon your life will speak for itself. So, my child, when you hear me speak of a coming change, well, do not reduce it to the size of your fears or your past experiences. Do not quickly think, it will probably just be a little better than now. That is enough, for I am not the one who gives you only enough to survive. I do not lead you out of scorched lands just to place you in a barren place that is barely tolerable. I bring you into a space where your soul can grow, breathe, and bear fruit. Everything I do carries this purpose: to restore my image in you, not merely to patch the torn places on the outside. And when my appointed time comes, you will not need to impress anyone, because my intervention itself will become the greatest testimony. Those who are used to looking at you with contempt will stumble over their own explanations. Those who said you were nothing will be surprised by the peace, the stability, and the newness within you. But for you, the most precious thing will not be that they change their opinion. It will be that you realize I never abandoned you, not even when everything seemed to be against you. You will understand that the closed doors, shattered dreams, and blocked paths of past years were actually signs that I had been intervening early to protect your soul. On that day, you will no longer look at the future with fear, fear of being judged, fear of lack, fear of losing, fear of falling behind, but with the eyes of a child who knows that their father holds the keys to every door, and instead of trembling before every decision, you will learn to ask me, Lord, which path will bring me closest to you? Then the fear of losing human approval will give way to a better, holy fear, the fear of missing the moment when I stand at the door of your life and knock, the fear of straying from the path I have marked with my own tears, my answers to prayer, and the times I silently pulled you back from the edge. My beloved, I am leading you to the place where every part of your story, even the pages torn out, is gathered by me and woven into a new chapter that is more beautiful, deeper, and truer. Do not be quick to conclude that your life is nothing but loss. The lands that seem barren today may be the very places that bloom tomorrow. If you allow me to keep working, let me be the one who decides which doors will close and which will open. Your part is to keep your heart soft, your ears open, and your feet ready. My part is to complete what I have begun in your life in such a way that, when you look back, you can only bow your head and say, if it had not been the Lord, it could never have been this way. In this moment, I invite you to silence every noise, close the door on every distraction, and lift up to me the most genuine prayer from the depths of your heart. Almighty God, my beloved Father, today I come to you with a weary heart that does not want to give up. I confess that there were moments when I stood so close to what you had promised. Yet I wanted to turn away because the waiting felt too long, and the voices of doubt echoed in my mind. Please forgive me for the times I allowed weariness and discouragement to speak louder than your voice over my life. Lord, would you touch me once more, renew my faith and strengthen me so that I do not, by my own will, step away from the path you have chosen for me. Help me remember the times when you rescued me, made a way for me, and upheld me in the past, so that my heart may be reminded that you are still working even when I cannot see it. I lay down at the foot of the cross all my calculations, all my shortcuts, and every desire to take care of myself in my own way. And I ask you to keep me standing firm until the moment I see your promises become reality in my life. Merciful Father, you know my heart more deeply than I know myself. I come to you and place before you every distraction pulling me away from your good and perfect will. I confess that there have been times when I feared people's opinions more than I feared grieving your heart. I have allowed the looks, the comments, and the judgments of others to control my actions and decisions. Please forgive me, Lord, for the times I did not dare to obey your voice simply because I feared being mocked, misunderstood, or looked down on. Lord, place within me a holy fear of you that is greater than every other fear, so that I will choose what you say, even when it means going against the crowd. Let my ears become sensitive to the voice of the Holy Spirit, and give me courage to step out of every circle of human control and public opinion, so that I may live as someone who truly belongs to you and is no longer bound by the thoughts and judgments of people. Almighty God, I bow my head in gratitude because you did not allow me to drift away in my own spiritual slumber. There were seasons when I lived as though there were still plenty of time, indulging in procrastination and remaining indifferent to your call. Yet, in your mercy, you awakened me. I thank you for the warnings you have sent through your word, through circumstances, and through the people you have used to remind me that the spiritual clock is counting down. Thank you that you did not stay silent and allow me to be lost, but that you intervened and shook my soul, so I would realize I am drawing near to crucial crossroads. I know that without your grace, I could so easily have become someone who quits halfway. Today, I give you thanks because you are still speaking to me and still disciplining me, and that very fact shows me that you still regard me as your child. Father, full of compassion, I thank you that you have never despised my tears. There were nights when I wept alone with no one to understand and no one to listen. Yet you were there beside me, quietly gathering every tear into your bottle. Thank you that you have not allowed my pain to be meaningless, but have used it like seeds sown into the ground, which in due season blossom into comfort, maturity, and living testimonies. I thank you that through these wounds, I have learned to empathize more with others, to treasure grace more deeply, and to recognize that nothing I have today is something I deserve on my own. Without those seasons of brokenness, I might have remained proud and shallow. Today, I bow in gratitude because you have been present in every one of my hurts, and I believe you will continue to use all of them to work out a goodness far greater than anything I could imagine. I offer this prayer in the holy name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and vibrant community of faith.